The Daily Graphic is reporting this morning at Graphic Business Stanbic Bank breakfast meeting where Winston was in charge. Remittances fetched $28 billion in 10 years. Experts call for measures to leverage inflows. So, Winston, what else happened?
Well, I mean, a lot of things happened. The fact that we recognize that a lot of people still don't use the formal system as in the financial system. Okay? And so these inflows can actually be a game changer in the country. Last year, according to the World Bank, some $5 billion in remittances into the country. Now, this is what is actually reported, Raymond. But we identify that a lot of, regulatory issues, a lot of, other challenges like even how much is paid by way of interest on it, leads many people to say, Kojo, are you going to Ghana tomorrow? How about I give you £1,500 to be given to Raymond? And then Kojo gets in here and says, hi, Raymond, meet me at the airport, pick your money. So if we're able to reduce it in a way that everybody can take advantage of it, it will be the nice way. I mean, it will be a good thing to do. And that by extension would actually lead us to more inflows.
It used to be expensive some time ago.
Yeah.
I realized around 2020, the Western Union had reduced the cost of transaction. Sometimes, if you are sending something like $500 or so, or £500, pay like only £2. I was shocked actually to have realized that on that app that they had provided. So again, one point also is there were sometimes that come on, just transferring a small amount of money. Like the way now, if you are doing some transfers locally from your bank account into your mobile account, then you pay first round and pay second round. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it
so
doesn't.
The cost of transactions become a barrier. Then you have to find other means because it may even be to some people better to say, oh dear, make sure airport. Then you take the money.
Well,
then,
look,
except that there are no guarantees in that conversation.
No, the Michelle Airport.
Yeah.
The main speaker, Yapia Latte of Deloitte, said he'd seen a lot of people at the airport police station.
The accounting is not working.
I tell you one thing.
There are people who are supposed to have brought me things like 10 years ago, still they can't find their things. This conversation, it is important to them. Uncles have become enemies of people merely because they were not able to do the transmission properly. Some ended up saying their luggage missing, stolen, or the other words they use for it.
All they say is that made a share bag. When I opened, I couldn't find it.
And they are sometimes even blame airport officials, which might not be true.
I almost ended up arrested once.
Really?
So 2 different people gave me envelopes to bring to their families, right? And I didn't know how much was in them, but one was significantly bigger than the other.
10,000.
I mean, the envelope was bigger than the other. So I put the smaller envelope in the big one, absent-mindedly, and then packed everything, came to Ghana, and couldn't find the second envelope because it was in the first one, right? And I searched everywhere, emptied my suitcase, had to go to the family and explain to them that, look, I can't find this envelope.
At least you explained.
No, but look, they were angry. They thought I was, making it up. And they were threatening all kinds of things because this money was critical to them. Then I went to deliver the other envelope. And then this person opens it up and says, oh, there's another envelope in here with a name on it. And I was like, oh, thank God.
Well, so, in my case, I said, let us count the money. I want to know how much you're giving me. So that when I get there, I'll call you and say, take the money.
Anyway,
report.
Yeah, you believe in verification processes.
Yes, because I don't want anything, where's my money? No.
I was just absent-minded. And that look.
But anyway, trauma. It was one of the things we discussed, and also about a diaspora bond, not just for persons of African descent, but also for Ghanaians.
Yeah.
Because Ethiopia has used that to build the Renaissance Dam, for instance. And so there was a conversation about the fact that there was Yao Apialati says he had a presentation in Ethiopia, and there was this Ghanaian who came to him and said, is Ghana doing the same? I want to invest in it. So maybe that's something.
So you might not be president, but you still have investment to your country.
In your
because
country, yes.
You love it and feel that that's a contribution, a worthwhile contribution you need to make it.
That's something we can do in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, I like the way you put it to next 5 to 10
Yeah,
years
but
anyway.
if you do it now, who's going to put money in it?
Yeah, now they.
Yeah, cry up a wonder do aba.
Oh, yeah, that's. But I have to raise funds. At some point, there should be a way of getting resources. And finance is how you deal with all the problems you have in your country. Today, the budgets that we talk about every year, or the manifestos. There's a story in the daily graphic that's talking about the cost of manifesto promises, and of course, the story encapsulates how or why we should be interested in how much is being spent, or how much will be spent on the manifesto promises, not just the promises, because there's a cost to it, and people should be interested in actually looking. So somebody might tell you very wonderful things, promise you heaven and earth, the very best of things that everybody is interested in. But how are they going to fund it in a way that doesn't become a problem for all of us?
There's a cost
In a
to
way
everything.
that we don't ramp up a debt and become a debt distressed country.
No, remember, there's a cost to everything. A lot of the things we don't do so well in this country. That when I tell you I'll do this for you, then that's the end of it. We believe that, okay, we're going to get this. So, for instance, I'll scrap e-levy. I'll scrap betting tax. E-levy has a target for the next medium term. So is the betting tax. I think betting tax is 5 billion, e-levy 8 billion. Let me just cross-check that quickly. Now, the question is, if we scrap these, where are we going to, which other sectors can be touched to ensure that we don't miss out completely? We're talking about a flat rate. And you heard Kojo Oponkro. He says, well, they've not put out the rate yet, but this is the point for me. If you go for a flat rate, and that flat rate is actually more than what the least earning Ghanaian can pay, then Raymond, that's a problem. Okay? Because for that person who doesn't earn much, for that man who doesn't earn much, what have we done to him? We've actually made him worse off. But that's something we wouldn't talk about. Because we say, oh, we're going for a flat rate, and that's the end of it.
That's true.
And for me, that's the problem. Because look, I say, well, even when it comes to betting tax, you don't wholesale say I'm abolishing it. You go, you make it progressive. If you earn this amount of money, you pay that amount of money. If you don't earn that, you don't pay. So for me, that's the most important thing. And we're told that, for instance, when it comes to the e-levy, we're likely to lose, if we scrap it, we're likely to lose about 2.75 billion annually, because that's the budget. And the 10% withholding tax on betting and games of chance, that's another 1.7 billion every year. Anyway, let's get into other stories. Raymond.
Yes, and of course, the conclusion by Dr. John Osai Kwapon, who wrote that article, The Cost of Manifesto Promises, doing some analysis there, says quickly that our political parties cannot ignore the fiscal reality and are obligated to provide voters with answers to these two questions. How much would all the promises cost? And B, how will it be paid for? It's not enough anymore. In fact, it's important as it may be to make promises, to just make promises to the Ghanaian voter in the face of another election, or impose cost recovery measures post delivery of promises. If the political parties are not willing to answer these questions, voters must constantly demand that. The media must constantly demand them when candidates or their spokespersons appear on their shows or grant interviews. As the adage goes, there is no such thing as a free lunch. So that's an important point. Let me bring your attention to a very important conversation that's also been. So Cabinet of the Republic of Ghana has approved the implementation of the Gifted and Talented Education System. This is a program in selected schools to enhance potential of students towards economic development. The GATE program will cater for learners with exceptional abilities, talent, and potential for accomplishment who require special provisions to meet their educational needs. It will therefore identify and support children who exhibit exceptional achievements or potential in areas such as high-level intelligence, specific aptitudes, creative thinking, superior talent in visual and performing arts, natural leadership, and outstanding performance in athletics or mechanical skills. The move is to rank the country among other countries like the USA, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Singapore that have benefited tremendously through innovation and inventions brought by their gifted and talented students.
And the Daily Guide talks about the same thing, that Cabinet approves the GATE education policy, the gifted and talented students policy. Government will not jeopardize workers' future, and that tells TUC. 22-year-old Ghanaian kills parents in UK. It's also on the front page of the Daily Guide. And FDA protecting public interest, not targeting businesses.
Yes, yesterday I heard that the man was also dead. The man whose wife died because the son. Yes, so it's now left one more family member.
Oh,
who's
goodness.
No, it's a very terrible incident anyway. Now, there's a story that's been trending since yesterday. Coach, hopefully we have time to deal with that story briefly. This is just stating the fact. GBC was not paid $105,000. Was paid, rather, $105,000, not $3 million. Director General. In fact, the GBC has denied claims by the Ministry of Youth and Sports that it paid $3 million to cover the 13th African Games. The state broadcaster explained that out of the total payment made for the games, it was only entitled to $105,000, and therefore the statement that it was paid $3 million was false. This was contained in a statement issued by the GBC and signed by the Director General, Professor Amin Al-Hassan, appearing before the Public Accounts Committee last Monday. The Minister of Youth and Sports said they paid in excess of $3 million, and this was after he was asked by the MPs how much has been given to GBC. And GBC is contesting that. I have seen subsequently the full statement from the ministry, breaking it down that they indeed, out of the $3.6 million, they are paid more than $2 million to GBC directly. $2.6 million to GBC directly, and another $1 million or so to these third-party, what they call operators, who are paid on the instructions of GBC, because GBC had explained first that they, as an institution, told the government of the Republic of Ghana that they did not have the capacity to deliver on all the things they asked them to do, so they did a third-party involvement, but there's still discrepancy as to whether or not GBC indeed got for their benefit, and he kept on stressing that. So you can receive money for some other people's benefit.
Well,
105,000, or they got more than $2 million US dollars.
There is a scandal brewing here.
No, if you ask me, I mean, I am quite indifferent about this position, because I feel that the entire event should have happened in the first place.
So I am interested.
Yeah.
And every day I'm exonerated by the outcomes that's coming out of
I
this
am
particular
interested
way.
in this. The ministry should not just be saying we paid these amounts. The ministry should show proof of payment.
Yeah.
The Ghana Broadcasting
They've
Corporation,
given dates.
yes, they've given date, but just show proof. Date is not proof enough. Show. So when you make payments, when you transfer money to somebody, here's evidence of payment.
Yes, that's true.
Now, two, GBC itself, the contract that they signed, how much was in that contract?
I've been seeing papers on social media purporting to be same.
That's why I am saying,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say this is the contract.
No, of course. I
But
mean,
I
so
want
that
GBC
because
and-
you're not party to the contract
Exactly,
anyway.
the ministry to share with us, okay, the contracts, how much was involved in that contract, and how much was expected to be paid to third parties, who was expected to receive that money and transfer to the third parties. Was the contract just between GBC and the Ministry of Youth and Sports, with GBC expected to sublet these or subcontract others to deliver on its behalf? Lots of questions.
I mean, I said I was not interested, but a journalist has asked a question that mostly media houses like yours and others bid to actually be the ones broadcasting these events. How come in this particular instance, it was almost as if the ministry rather chose, or out of the bids available to them, chose to pay for it?
So-
because mostly the payments coming from the media houses because of the other things they do with some of these things.
Yes.
But as I've said, it is exoneration for those
I
of
am-
us who kicked against you, wasting 250
I
million
am interested.
of money we don't have.
If I am interested, so the ministry and GBC have questions to answer. It's not just a case of we're paid 105,000 and that's the end of it. No,
Do you know?
they should make the contracts available.
Do you know what?
They should show proof.
I think the whole thing hinges on the word benefit. I think the GBC boss is trying to tell us something. That even if you say you gave this money to us, the truth is that it wasn't us you were giving it to. Our benefit in it is about 100 and something thousand.
Okay.
So who are the other beneficiaries is the question that I would like to hear the
This
answer
is my
to.
"I told you so" poster.